I am Dracula. I bid you welcome.
It's alive!
Listen to them. Children of the night. What music they make.
Google gobble, Google gobble.
We belong dead.
Have a potato.
Welcome to this episode of The Good, The Bad and The Universal. We host Mark and Sam. In our 8th episode of Universal Movies, we're going to be discussing Son of Frankenstein. Hi, Sam.
Hey.
Okay, so Son of Frankenstein is the third in the Frankenstein series from Universal. It was made in 1939, so again, quite a gap here. There was 4 years between Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein. There's 4 years between Bride of Frankenstein and this. First impressions.
It was pretty good. It was kind of more sort of easy to get into than the other two.
It felt more mainstream. And it felt, you could definitely tell the sort of slickness of the filmmaking had improved between this and say that even Bride of Frankenstein. There was a definite slickness to this, is my opinion. Did you feel that way?
They had, I want to say smaller sets, but like a lot of the sort of more significant locations, like the lab, they'd like sort of tightened up. They'd got rid of some of their extraneous like machinery.
Yeah, I mean, the lab, it was on several levels, wasn't it? Bizarrely.
Yeah, kind of.
But I know what you mean. It was smaller sets. You're quite right. It wasn't as grand.
I was going to say, it's like the really important locations, like the lab, were smaller, but the really sort of not particularly significant locations got much larger. Like instead of a small sitting room, they had that huge hall that they had dining. They were dining in.
It was one of the great houses in cinema. That house, it was just mad. It had lots of mad angles. Like it had a staircase which was massive at the bottom and deliberately shrank as you went up it. So it was almost like double perspective. You know, so the top of the staircase looked like it was quite a way away, and in fact, it really wasn't.
No, that was particularly weird.
Yeah, it was like the whole house was full of weird angles, and this thing of weird angles I've seen in literature before. In a book called The Haunting of Hill House, so there's quite a lot of emphasis on a house having impossible angles, and I think in Lovecraft, one of the things you could spot. You know, Lovecraft's got certain themes. He uses certain words, and he does talk about weird angles.
Yeah,
or
that's like one of the big things. It's like the gate that Cthulhu comes through. They can't tell if it's acute or obtuse.
Indeed. So this film kind of picks up that sort of expression. It picks up a lot of the expressionistic stuff from, say, Dr. Caligari, which I don't know if you're familiar with. But
I've not seen that.
Right, there's things like that. And also, I mean, some of the earlier Frankenstein films had the same sort of thing. Certainly Bride of Frankenstein did. And it kind of continues in that vein. Now, Karloff in this is a much more muted character than he was certainly in Bride. I mean, yeah, literally in Bride of Frankenstein. And one of the other things about this film I found was you could see that young Frankenstein was. This was the one that young Frankenstein was mostly based on.
Yeah,
it just looks really similar, and the vibe is very similar. That's, you know, down to the wooden armed. Chief Commandant.
Yeah.
He even sticks darts in his
start playing
arm.
darts and they stick darts in his...
Yeah. And that aggressive game of darts in Young Frankenstein I thought was a parody. I haven't seen this film in a long time. But no, they have a really aggressive, you know, passive-aggressive game of darts during this film.
Yeah.
It's really funny. I did enjoy this. More than I thought I was going to, in fact. I was surprised how much I enjoyed it, actually. It was quite a long film, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was significantly longer than the other. I mean, it was an hour 40, I think, something like that.
105 minutes, I think.
Yes, whereas the earlier ones are 115 tops,
Yeah.
sort of stuff like that. Whereas this kind of some of the scenes could have done with a bit of trimming. There was one really annoying strand in this for me, which was anything
kid.
with the kid. The kid
Yeah.
was so annoying. And I just wondered what the decision making was behind that. Was it to give
More
it a
marketable
sense
to
of threat?
kids.
Say again?
More marketable to kids.
Maybe,
That's
possibly. It's interesting they picked the name Wolf for Frankenstein.
yeah.
He was the son of Henry, though this appeared to be set quite a long time after the monster. Lionel Atwill said, for example, he was the police chief, said he had his arm, when he was a boy, he had his arm ripped out by the monster. And he's an old fella in this, so it kind of would appear to me, we're talking 40 years later or something.
Yeah.
I'm really not sure. Which would mean Basil Rathbone would have to be over 40.
Or under. Or a fair bit under
around
40.
40, yeah. One thing I didn't pick up on, which I've just noticed on Wikipedia, is his wife's name is Elsa. I didn't notice that. I wonder if that's a sly tribute to Elsa Lanchester from Bride of Frankenstein.
Maybe.
And we were saying this could have done with Bride.
Yeah, they should have had like the bride, even if it was just like a mannequin that didn't do anything. They should have had it there.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't really explain why the monster can survive, but the bride can't.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they didn't bother to explain that. It's just Igor kind of finds the monster. That's the suggestion. It doesn't really explain how it survived. Presumably it's indestructible, or close to indestructible, but it's kind of living a half-life. But there's a lot of hints that Igor sends it out walking around. You know, they talk about people being murdered, and it's unclear whether it's Igor. I think it's Igor myself, or if it's the monster. It's just not made clear. Anyway, let's talk about Igor a bit. What did you think of Bela Lugosi's
Igor was
performance?
awesome in this film.
Igor was the greatest character in this film. Having said that, I did like Wolf Frankenstein, Basil Rathbone, and I liked the Inspector, Lionel Atwill. I thought they were both quite strong characters too. Even the wife was pretty good. It's only the kid who was really annoying. But everyone else really was a bit of a non-character.
Yeah, they either didn't do much or were just like there to have like another voice or another sort of body at a scene sort of thing.
I kind of agree. But Igor was quite terrific. He was, I mean, this whole vibe of him being already dead because they've already hung him and he didn't die. They broke his neck and he didn't die. And he was an ex-blacksmith. And he keeps saying things like, I robbed graves, they said. And I did this. They said. You know? He never denies it.
Especially like the bit at the where he's kind of being held on trial because everyone's suspicious of the new Frankenstein in town, and they're like questioning him, and he's like, "You can't hang me again. I've already died." And his whole approach, and the judge goes with it.
Yeah, he says, "Yeah, we did agree. He's already dead," and he keeps saying, "Oh." And one of them says, "Yes, and I was on that 8," and Igor just looks at me and says,
Yes, you were. And then everyone else gets up and he's like, "You were."
Yes, you were. One of them, when he gets up, he starts coughing.
Yeah.
He coughs right in one's face. He says, "You're coughing on me." He goes, "I'm sorry." He points to his broken neck. "I have a bone in my throat." And he goes out coughing, but it turns into a laugh as he's walking out. That's kind of funny. There's some nice touches in this. The whole house is fantastic. I kind of like the change to the lab. You're right. It is a smaller, less grand design, but that whole smoking background and the fact they're right on the edge of a sulphur pit, which must stink to high heaven, and they're just carrying out all the work. And also, they find his dad's coffin, don't they? And someone's written on it, "Maker of Monsters."
Yeah.
And he takes the time to scratch out monsters to write men, doesn't he?
Yeah, that's...
He's very easily sucked in, isn't he, into the whole fold. But we did keep saying lines from Young Frankenstein while we were watching this. It was so similar.
It's like they'd open like the kid's door and there'd be this huge like door knocker on it, and we'd go like, "What knockers?"
Yeah, and throw a look out when it was a stormy night. There is one stormy night where Igor looks through the head suddenly pops up and looks through the window. No one notices though. And also Igor's playing a pipe, isn't he?
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool. I enjoyed this film greatly, I have to say. It did really well. It was a big hit for Universal and helped them get back into profitability. I think they were struggling at this point. So
Yeah.
and this is Karloff's last turn as the monster. He really wasn't much of a player in the same way as he was in the first two films.
No, he didn't really do much rampaging or that much killing, really. He only killed, like, maybe... I think they said 8 people.
Was it?
And he didn't really... He doesn't do any, like, particularly graphic things. It's just, like, walk up, punch, dead.
Yeah. He seems to lurk around, but be kind of semi-comatose or something. So it's kind of, I think Igor's the real kind of driver and star, and Frankenstein acknowledges that, doesn't he? He understands the monster. Igor's the one that controls the monster, not him, and he wants to sort of transpose. He wants to get him out, kind of thing. I'm trying to think what else we
As I
say,
keep
there's
playing Let's Get It On, because there were so many weird, like
two men,
Yeah.
or two people in the same room,
it's like
kind of looking at each other.
Igor's sort of stroking the monster's face, and he goes, "He helps me."
He's my friend.
Yeah.
I like this whole Frankenstein business.
Yeah.
Igor.
Frankenstein.
It is funny how Igor's such a powerful character. When you think of Frankenstein, you think of Igor.
Yeah.
You don't think of Fritz, who was the original assistant in the first film.
Yeah.
It's always Igor.
And you don't think of Igor as having like a broken neck. He's always like a hunchback, which Fritz
yes.
was.
Yes, indeed. It's all kind of mixed up. I actually posted on our news group, on our Facebook group, for comments on this, and I got a few. Scott Clicker's left some feedback, and he said, excuse me, I just wanted to add, he wasn't sure if we'd already recorded when he posted it. Excuse me, I'm just having a drink. Scott Clicker said, I just wanted to add that I find those expressionistic set design to be absolutely mind-blowing, perhaps the best of the Universal films aesthetically.
Yeah, I think aesthetically the previous Frankenstein films are probably
I prefer
better.
Bride.
I do prefer the big labs with loads of like technology that they don't even acknowledge, sort of thing. Because it just looks more like a laboratory, because they're not going to need everything in the laboratory, and it's not just going to be two balls hanging from a ceiling that reawakens the monster, which it was in this. Yeah,
I kind of agree. And also, there's other elements in the first two films that are not so much in this one, though. I do think this aesthetically, this is a great film, but for example, in the first two films, James Whale has got some really good and interesting use of lighting, side lighting, which looks really cool. And things like, I don't know, where the monster's going through the graveyard in the second one, and there's like a standing skeleton as one of the gravestones in a cow, and the scene where the monsters gets tied up in a strange wood where the trees almost look like telegraph poles.
Yeah,
things like that. It's just really awesome. I think Scott's got a point there. It is I wouldn't say it's the best, but I personally don't think it's the best, but it's really, really fantastic aesthetically.
Yeah.
I mean, 1939 is often held up as like one of the great years for cinema. And you got Gone with the Wind and Wizard of Oz and things like that. Son of Frankenstein's often included in that list, and it not in a right at the bottom of the list kind of way. And you can kind of see why, because I believe it's a really solid
there
film.
are a lot of films coming out then.
There's some other comments. Michael Harvey left a note. Bela Lugosi steals this every scene he's in.
Oh yeah,
yeah, absolutely, definitely. We definitely agree with that. I actually think this is. I think this is my favourite Lugosi performance.
I still prefer Dracula.
I mean, Dracula's super iconic, and everyone, when you think of Dracula, you think of Lugosi's Dracula. But in terms of a performance, I think this is a better performance. I really do.
I think.
I also liked him in Black Cat, though. as the Mad Doctor, Verdigust in Black Cat was.
Yeah. That's actually kind of cool because I realised while we were watching, I think I may have brought it up to you. In Black Cat, we had Karloff as like this incredibly antagonistic character, and Lugosi as somewhat threatening, but overall he didn't have bad intentions.
He was like the good guy in inverted commas in the film, wasn't he? Yeah.
But in this one, we got the roles reversed.
Well, Lugosi's definitely the bad guy.
Yeah, Lugosi is like the deeply antagonistic one. Karloff sort of... He's more in the grey area.
He's in all of it. Yeah. It's... this is Lugosi's film. I think it is. And I'm pretty sure... I could be wrong, but I think I remember Eagles in Ghost of Frankenstein too. In fact, I'm pretty sure he's in Ghost of Frankenstein. Though it's been a long time since I last watched it. So, though he appears to be shot and dead in this one, you can't keep a good...
horror film. Horror villain down.
Eagle down. So I'm looking forward to that. We'll be doing that in the next few.
Yes, he is.
He is. Yeah. I thought he was. So what do you think of Basil Rathbone as Frankenstein?
I think he was really good.
He was really good. I mean, he's famous for being a Sherlock Holmes in the 30s, and he was a really good Sherlock Holmes too. He's famous for a few roles, but Sherlock Holmes is the one he's most remembered for. But I really enjoyed him in this too. He's a very striking man. The only real letdown was the kid. Really, that kid was just annoying. And the scenes were seeming interminable.
There's he only really contributed 2 parts to the film, which was he told the actually important characters that Frankenstein was out there, the monster was out there, and he was used as a hostage. That was it.
Yeah. That was it, and there was a scene where the monster finds his comic, and you can tell from that the monster's going to go find him. I also like there was a bit of a meta reference in this film, which is an early example of this, where they actually say, "Why do you know your name Frankenstein is used for the monster?" Which is what happened when the film came out, which is kind of fun. I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
So overall, this was a really solid one. I should mention we actually last time we said we were going to watch Werewolf of London. Do you want to tell them why we haven't done Werewolf?
God, film was atrocious. We could not sit through it.
We got halfway through it and we stopped. I actually did continue the next day, but I had to do it over 2 days because it was so boring. Can't recommend it. Definitely not.
So bad. They had like this fairly moderate looking werewolf makeup.
Yeah,
I'll give it credit. It does look kind of monstrous. Didn't look like a wolf.
So it the actor,
but
didn't it?
Yeah.
The actor.
But then they go and completely throw it away by having the werewolf put on a coat, scarf, and gloves.
Yeah,
and a hat.
He went out. And I have to say that in that film, though I didn't really want to talk too much about it, is the acting. All the men acting in Werewolf of London were terrible. They were terrible actors. The women were pretty good, but the wife was pretty good, and most of the women were okay, but the men were just awful. I think it was the direction or something. I don't know. The writing was bad too. It was a subpar Jekyll and Hyde story, really, rather than a werewolf story.
What do we have the werewolves cured by? Flowers.
Yeah. Warner Orland was in it as well as Dr. Yagami, and he was bad too. He was just a bad actor. Okay, well let's get back to Son of Frankenstein. What would you rate this one?
I'd give this a 9 out of 10.
A 9?
Yeah.
You liked it that much?
Yeah.
I think
literally the only problem I have with it is the kids. So,
so do you prefer it over Bride?
No, I do prefer Bride more. I gave that a 9.
What about Frankenstein? The first one.
I think there were like bits that could have been cut from the original Frankenstein. It would have made no difference to the overall story.
Okay. So you really like this one?
Yeah.
Funny enough, we kind of was inspired to do the Universal series by watching Mark Gatiss' History of Horror, his 3-part docu-series about the Universals and some of the other, and Hammer. And he actually gives a lot of props to the Son of Frankenstein in that as well. So I was kind of really looking forward to seeing this again, just to see what if his views tallied with mine after watching it, or ours after watching it, and they seem to. Indeed, he feels this is a forgotten film, and I think it's also a bit forgotten too. After watching it again, so I would give it an 8 myself, but it's a high 8, so I don't think we're that far different.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what we're doing next time. We'll leave it as a surprise. It's probably going to be mostly chronological, but we'll see how we go. We won't be doing Ghost of Frankenstein straight after, though. We'll be... we might. We'll see how we go. All right, then. Bye from me.
Bye.
Mm-hmm.